It is the episode 128 here of the show. We've got NFL draft up, and we announced that we are going to be doing a live show on Thursday night while the draft, giving out our live reactions with the Hayden McDaniel of Armchair Banter, who is joining us tonight. As you guys can all see here, we're live, I believe, on YouTube, and I believe, yep. Oh yeah, look at that. We're already live on YouTube. How about that? And it looks like we are live on Facebook as well, which, hey, we got her to work. So bully for us. And Hayden and I, we connected on TikTok, which, social media is, as I've said, is often a cesspool of negativity. This is just a bunch of guys, 4 guys with shitty webcams claiming they know ball, which I don't think we've ever claimed that we know ball. I think we've always branded ourselves as mediocre sports take, with the rest of us just roasting each other for the next hour. That's basically what it is. But we connected after Michigan killed Nick Saban in the Rose Bowl, and I posted a reaction of Alabama hiring their replacement in Kalen DeBoer. And Hayden is an Alabama fan in Georgia in enemy territory, which is incredible. So I'm interested to hear the story of how a guy from Georgia became a Crimson Tide fan.
You live with these people,
and
you learn to join the dark side real quick.
Well, and you've had outside of the last couple of years, you have had quite the run of the bragging rights.
We still ended their streak. We began and ended their streak. So I mean, we ended their 29-game winning streak. So I've got that to live off of for a little bit.
You did. That's right. But like I said, we've got an NFL draft show coming up with him on Thursday, and we're going to give our mock drafts. He's joining us today. But before, guys, we get started, I like to throw in some trivia questions every now and again here. So, guys, do you guys know how many cell phones does Mel Kiper own?
7.
7. Okay. Ethan's at 7. Grant?
4.
4. All right. Hayden?
I'm going to go with 6. Some reason 6 is...
You're going to go with 6. Okay. That's final answer for all of you?
Final answer.
Sure.
Final answer? Okay. Correct answer? 0. Goose egg. Do you know how many landlines he has?
12.
5. That's 5 landlines. Doesn't own a cell phone, but has 5 landlines.
How is that even possible?
How is that even possible?
I mean, he's a boomer.
He's
a boomer. He doesn't like to change.
And boomers
honestly,
are soft.
he might be smarter than all of us. Hashtag boomers are soft, according to Grant.
Hashtag boomers are soft.
But yeah, he was on. Todd McShay was on Pardon My Take today, and he said that he doesn't calls, like he'll call if he doesn't call his first one, Mel doesn't answer, calls the second one, usually his wife picks up and answers. And so it's just a cycle until he finally gets Mel to answer if he's got questions or something. But
so how the hell does he do anything at the actual draft?
I think because he's not the one that's doing a lot of like the breaking news and stuff. So I think what he does is just he hears the pick and he just breaks it down, because realistically that's all he does all year is he just buries himself in his office and grinds film of potential draft picks.
Interesting.
Which is pretty crazy. Like, because I mean, when they cut to him and he breaks down plays, like, I mean, he gives like a full 2-3 minute rant on each guy, so he's well versed. I mean,
He's just by talking, he spits probably a cup of spit every freaking time. He talks so fast.
correct. That and pumpkin pie. That's his. Those are his go-tos.
How the hell do you know? This is kind of weird. You know all this. I'm gonna be honest.
He was on Pardon My Take. He talks about how he eats. That's his go-to, pumpkin pie. I believe like no whipped cream either, or something crazy like that.
What a psycho.
But
Can we confirm that Mel Kiper is not a serial killer?
No, we can't.
we can't.
I mean, he is a Ravens fan.
Have we ever? Yeah. I mean, we've never seen Edgar Allan Poe and Mel Kiper in the same spot, so you know.
It's true.
But fellas, it is draft. We're going to be doing our mock drafts here. But before we do, Hayden, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how your podcast came about?
Sure. So yeah, my name's Hayden. Like Dylan said, I'm an Alabama fan living in the state of Georgia, about 45 minutes outside of Athens. So how I'm still alive to this day.
So you're hated. You are like absolutely hated.
To an extent, I try to keep myself under the radar around here. It's tough, especially during the 2018 national championship game when I was in Athens for it.
Oh shit.
Okay, well tell us about that. So, that was a game where I mean Georgia dominated that game the first half and was in the lead for most of it, and Alabama starts to come back. What was that like that first half being an Alabama fan?
You talk about a moment where like I thought I might have to go to mental health therapy. Like that was probably the first. I mean, I was hearing, oh, Saban's done. Look who's it now that he don't have Kirby. He ain't nothing. Blah blah. All that nonsense, and for a moment, it was the first time of self-doubt I've ever had or in the Saban era that I had in Alabama, because it was like, okay, maybe it was Kirby Smart that had us where we were. But I remember looking at the only other Alabama fan that was there that night, and I said, before they knew Tagovailoa was going to come in the game, I said, he's going to bring Tua in. I said, we might not win this game, but it's gonna be something special. And lo and behold, it was everything I could have asked for and more. But as soon as he got sacked, when Tua got sacked before the big throw, the whole place was going nuts. They thought the game was over. Like everybody was going insane. Everybody was starting to take shots and all that stuff. And then he made that throw, and I've never seen a place just go dead silent so fast. And I have never ran to my car so fast in all of my life. But overall, it was a very, very sweet feeling, considering all the crap I took in the first half. And I was just trying to be there and watch the game. But you can't do that in Athens. I learned that night you can't go to Athens and be for the opposing team. You just can't. You're asking for a death sentence there. So I have not done that again, and I never will. My wife is actually a Florida fan living down here, so it's just as bad, if not worse, for her.
Ooh, that might be worse.
It is. I would think it is worse, especially when Florida and Georgia are the teams competing for the East. It's much worse. So overall, it's an experience being an opposing fan living 45 minutes from Athens. But for the most part, it's been pretty gratifying every year, especially this year. This was probably the most between 2018 and this year. It's probably a tie between which one was more gratifying. But I became an Alabama fan. I know y'all were wondering that story because my grandfather actually grew up. He went to Alabama. I grew up watching games with him, and so like the DeBose Shula era. I grew up in the 7-5, 4-7 era, and I remember I see Ethan wearing a Minnesota hat. I remember the year Minnesota beat us in the Music City Bowl. So
last time a Big Ten team beat you, right? No, Michigan now.
No, yeah.
Oh, then it was Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl a few years.
That's right. That's right.
In 2014. But yeah, before then I think so. So yeah, it's a very interesting experience. But anyways, now you asked me about my podcast. So it was a long time coming because everybody kept telling me I had so many thoughts that needed to be put out into the world. And so 2020 came around, and a lot was going on that year. Obviously, COVID was going on, and in the world of sports, it was kind of like a very weird time. Everything was like changing. 60-game season in baseball. College football was a little bit weird that year. But being from Atlanta at the time, the Braves were always known for having a great regular season and then choking in the playoffs. And they got to a 3-1 lead against the Dodgers in the NLCS that year, and then lost the last 3 games. Ended up losing in 7 to the Dodgers. And that, after many years of frustration, you finally just kind of lose it. And one night I was just venting to a bunch of buddies in my group chat that we have. And I was just like, I'm so tired of getting my hopes up every year and just my heart just being torn out. You got 28-3 that happened a few years back for the Falcons. Now this, like, it's just everything. I just became unglued at that point, basically. And one of my buddies just goes, "You really need to come up with a podcast." I'm like, I don't really know. But then as the college football season started to unfold, I was like, I really need to start getting myself out there because I missed going to games. You couldn't go to games that year. Nothing was going on. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to start putting it together. And lo and behold, it's just kind of been one thing at a time. And here we are now. I guess a little over 300 followers and just kind of taking it one step at a time. Now that I'm putting full effort into it this year, it's kind of fun to see where things have gone. And here we are now. So kind of just a weird circumstances that just kind of led to something pretty cool.
And we have a comment here on our Facebook stream by I believe this is Mrs. McDaniel, and yes, it is married to Hayden McDaniel. Unless there's a different one, she did. I believe she's referring to being a Florida fan in Georgia, and she does say it is worse. So there, that concludes that being a Florida fan is worse, and she's your wife, so you have to agree with her.
That's not true.
I mean, in this circumstance, I probably would say it's worse for her because she gets a lot of flack, but she knows how to fire back very quickly. I'm very proud of her. I never have to really step in. I will if I have to, of course, but she knows how to fight for herself in those situations.
There you go. But all right, well then let's get into our mock drafts here, and the number 1 overall pick. It's we're gonna go to the Windy City, which I don't know about where you guys are at, but the winds were blowing. I'd have to look, but I mean it was some of the worst blowing wind that we have, and I mean that's mostly North Dakota. Is the wind is so bad because Minnesota sucks and Montana blows. But 23 mile an hour winds with gusts up to 40. So that's just a typical day in southwest North Dakota and basically all of North Dakota. And it was blowing from the northwest too, so it made it even worse. Anytime that northwest wind blows, it's way colder. But
okay, so who'd you pick first?
Me, I don't know if this would be my pick. It would be I'm going though. I do think that the Bears they're gonna go with Caleb Williams. He's when he's at his best, he is incredible. But this year was a challenging year, a rough year for him. But you saw him when things are going bad. He likes to kick dog turds and pout and cry. He paints his fingernails. I'm not too high on this. He doesn't handle adversity well. I think if he's able to get something like that figured out, I think he has the opportunity to be successful. They've got some very nice weapons. They got to shore up the offensive line, but I think overall it's got to be Caleb Williams going number 1 overall.
Who's next? Are we drawing? Or are we just going?
Yeah, we'll just go.
Who's going?
I'll go. And
there you go. Thank you, Grant.
I'll make it easy. Caleb Williams. Chicago, they need a quarterback. They got rid of Justin Fields. Caleb has absolutely elite arm talent. I think he's got a chance to be Chicago's first ever 4,000-yard passer. I mean, 120 passing touchdowns in his college career. It's unreal. He's Houdini. He can make plays with his legs. I think it's a slam dunk. Caleb Williams, Chicago.
I would agree with that too. I'm not a fan of the antics of Caleb Williams, like one ownership stake. I don't know how much of that was true, the ownership stake and all that, but I would say he's going to be the number 1 pick. He probably is. I'm hesitant to say the best quarterback in the draft. Probably arm strength wise, absolutely he is. But I don't know. I'm hesitant to say he's the best quarterback in this draft. He probably will be long term. But I don't know. But, yeah, I have him going number 1.
Yeah, let's make it a clean sweep. I have Caleb Williams going as well. I think he has the highest ceiling. I also think he might have if his floor is bad, it's not going to be good. He gets those attitude problems like Dylan, you brought up, kind of maybe doesn't understand the offense very well. I don't know, but does those runaround plays like you always did at USC. That's not going to work in the NFL, so he's going to have to learn how to throw from the pocket and just kind of actually run the offense. But if it all clicks, he's definitely probably the best quarterback in this draft.
Yeah. And number 2, the Commanders are up, and I also have them taking a quarterback. I have this in the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels. He grew up the last 2 years. I think he was a bit of a victim of the circumstances he was in at Arizona State, all of the mess with Herm Edwards and assistant coaches giving away playbooks or there's some type of controversy related to something along those lines. I can't remember the exact thing, but it was some weird thing, and teammates throwing all of his stuff out of his locker, saying he was trash anyways. But going to LSU and really wasn't really quite sure how he was going to do, but had a great 2 years there. Beat Alabama. Sorry, Hayden, but
that game still haunts me.
but I think he needs to bulk up more. He needs to learn to slide and get down. I think there's a little bit of looking at some of the Washington fans, they get a little bit of RG3 vibes where RG3 never learned how to slide, and it cost him what was the start of a promising career. And also when you see Jaden Daniels get hit, it's like watching a cartoon because his body flails all over the place. But I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the pick for the Commanders.
Yeah, I agree, Dylan. I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. And I think the big thing is how weak Washington is up front with his legs to escape the pressure, get out of the pocket, and extend plays like that. That's going to be a big difference for them. And then also just the growth he made this last year, from the pocket in the passing game compared to where he was in the 2022 season. And I think you look at Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator in Washington, with the mobility stuff and being able to use his legs, he feels he could probably implement the same kind of offense that he had with Kyler Murray there in Arizona. And I think it's going to help Washington sell tickets. New owner, they need stuff going their way. An exciting player like Jaden could help sell tickets. So Jaden Daniels, number 2 to the Commanders.
Yeah, I have the same. Jaden Daniels to me is he's very good, but Dylan, you brought up a great point. When he gets hit, he flies, and it's kind of uncomfortable to watch. I mean, this year when we played them, Dallas Turner had probably a late hit. I would probably agree it was a late hit, and I mean he went out with a concussion. I think it was a concussion. I can't remember if he went back in the game or not. But I mean that's the kind of stuff you got to watch out for, especially in the NFL with these bigger D linemen. So that's one thing I'll be curious to see how he can do. But skill wise, talent wise, arm wise, mobility wise, he is definitely capable of being the number 2 pick. And I think that's where Washington will go. I'm not as confident as I was earlier, considering I heard a rumor that he was down there this week and disappointed that they all the other QB prospects visited, and he was disappointed with the Commanders. But that could have been just a rumor. Overall, I think he is definitely deserving of the number 2 pick, though, talent-wise.
All right, this is where I differ. I did my mock draft this morning, and right after I picked this guy to be drafted by them, his odds shot up by a shit ton to go the number 2 overall pick, J.J. McCarthy. I just trying to do something different. I knew pretty much everyone was going to assume Daniels was going there. I saw that same rumor that he didn't like the visit there. He didn't really get along too well with the Redskins, it seemed like. There have been some rumors that have kind of backtracked on that, but I'm going the shot in the dark. I'm going McCarthy, and why the heck not? He's a good player. I don't know if he would obviously be as big of a name, I feel like, as like a Jaden Daniels or just as hype as he would get the fans, but he's a good quarterback, and he seemed to be climbing up the draft boards the whole process.
Yeah, and I also think like the leadership, his intangibles. And I mean, people are going to call me a J.J. McCarthy homer, but I've watched every single throw that he's made in his career to this point, and you listen to the way guys in the locker room, his teammates talk about him, his coaches talk about him. He is a tremendous leader, and I saw that too. And I was kind of at the point, Ethan, of no return, and I really don't want my favorite Michigan quarterback of all time to go to such a terrible franchise. But
it's understandable.
Going to the Patriots here, and I think this is where the draft really begins. Is the Patriots they need a lot. They have a lot of issues, but I think their biggest issue is the quarterback, and I think they need to find a way to make sure they get that right. And I'm not sure this is the best fit-wise, but I think I have the Patriots also taking a quarterback in Drake May. Quarterback out of North Carolina. He didn't have the best year this year. Kind of was like might be the Jordan Love of the draft, where had a really good junior or sophomore year and then regressed his junior year. I think some of it just the team wasn't as good. But Ethan, I know that you saw him live. What were some of the things that you liked about Drake May?
When he can scramble, he's very underrated athletically. Like there were multiple times where the Gophers got pressure on him, and next thing you know, it's 3rd and 4, 1st and 10. Like just scrambled for 5-6 yards. He knew exactly where the sticks were, and then could throw on the run. There was one ball, first quarter, literally the spot to throw the ball. I didn't think there was room to actually like get the ball in there on a dime on the run, right over the safety's head. Like it was incredible. Just good touch. He actually didn't play that well that game. He had some very good moments, but in general, like he didn't play nearly as good as what he's capable of.
Yeah, Dylan, I'm with you. I also had the Patriots taking Drake May, and I'm going to be honest. I feel bad for whoever has to go to New England in that situation, guys. Rookie head coach and Gerard Mayo, who's a defensive-minded guy. Really no skill players on offense, offensive line that you can't trust. Play caller, I'm not sure you can believe in that. So this is a tough situation. I'm not sure any of these guys want to go here. But like what Ethan said, I think Drake's athletic ability and his skill set and his arm strength are going to be what take him over the edge When I, compared to J.J. McCarthy now, just because Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams are off the board now, he's got that Justin Herbert built, 6'5", 230. He got a rocket of an arm. He's an athlete, comes from a family of athletes. And I think being able to put up the numbers that he put up his sophomore year at a school like Carolina, when you don't have the help that these other three quarterbacks had, I think New England's going to dip into that. We see a lot of potential in this kid, and they're going to take him there. And, Dylan, like you said, if you don't have a quarterback in this league, you can't succeed. And the Patriots, they need a lot of help. They probably shouldn't take one because they're going to set whoever it is up for failure possibly. Maybe let Jacoby Brissett go, this year, but that's just not how it works in the NFL, especially once you fire Bill Belichick and hire Gerard Mayo. So I'm going to go Drake May with New England, but I think whoever ends up in this team could be in a world of hurt.
It's funny for me. I have to admit, I kind of flipped the coin on the third pick here. I could see them taking this one or two different ways. I could see them going Drake May, who's probably overall the more athletic quarterback, or I could see them going with JJ, who's a proven winner. But like you said, Grant, whoever goes there is set up to fail at this point. Being an Alabama fan, I've watched a former quarterback of mine that was set up for failure for the last 3 seasons up until recently. I mean, granted, he wasn't the best decision maker at times, but the coaching staff did him absolutely no favors in Mac Jones. Glad he's out of there. Glad he's in Jacksonville. Glad he's got a change of scenery now, working with a good, proven quarterback coach, and Doug Peterson. But I agree. Whoever goes here is set up for failure. I have Drake May, like I said, just because I think he's a little bit better athletically. But whoever goes there, I'm not excited going to New England, which is something I never thought I'd say 5 years ago, because New England was the top of the sport, the standard. But whoever goes, now you want to stay as far away from there as possible. You're one of the later picks at that point.
Yeah, and somebody in the YouTube chat just said that there's no better leader than Gress, I don't think, not even McCarthy. Well, I appreciate that, whoever you are, that says yes is the name, and then Vikings will get May at 3, bro. Come on. So somebody's thinking the Vikings trade all the way up to 3.
Well, didn't you see Schefter's report today?
No, I did not.
Basically saying it's like the Vikings and Giants are like the most talked about teams trying to trade up.
Well, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, who would have thought? But I have May going as well. If I was any quarterback at this spot, I would pray to God someone does trade up, just so they are not going to be drafted by the Patriots. But I went Drake May over Jaden Daniels just because New England's never been flashy, and that's kind of what Jaden Daniels is. They just want their pocket passer. This May's obviously much more talented than McCarron. I'm sorry, Hayden, on that one. But
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Sorry, Mac Jones, not McCarron. My bad. But I guess the point still stands. I'm thinking of the white quarterbacks from Alabama.
100% granted. No offense.
Hey, they won national championships, so what the hell can I say? Well, my Gophers maybe win the Outback Bowl. It's a good year. No, Drake May, number 3 overall.
But I mean that day that the Gophers did win the Outback Bowl, Hayden was also a Gopher fan.
Yep.
So
Gophers 7 national titles. Just saying.
Oh God! Stop it! If
my grandpa might have been alive for one of them.
If I'm giving Dylan flack last week for being a Michigan fan from 2021 and on, I'm calling Ethan out on his bullshit from the Gophers winning national titles before World War II. Get out of here with that.
And that was. I've been a Michigan fan a lot longer than 2021.
You get what I'm saying,
buddy.
though. Like, let's be honest. Michigan became relevant in 2021, Dylan, because they finally beat that team from Ohio. And
they have the most wins in college football history. They are college football.
Okay, so you're a Nebraska fan now watching the fucking History Channel.
See, and
hey, family friendly.
See, and I can't say anything about Ethan talking about national championships before World War II because Alabama fans and at the university apparently in the 1920s, 1930s was claiming national championships when we were 7-3. So allegedly, I don't know how much of that is true. We claimed about 6 of our 18 national championships when there wasn't a national championship played. So I can't give him too much flack on that.
Yeah, well, and speaking of teams that have no championships, I believe we got our picks for the Patriots in. But number 4, the Cardinals, a team that a while back we talked about a team that is one of the most irrelevant franchises in the NFL.
That is correct.
The Cardinals, I have them taking a receiver, Mercury Sable, Marvin Harrison from Ohio State. They need somebody to stretch the field. Kyler Murray coming off an ACL, only averaged 6 yards a pass last year. He had a strong finish to the end of the year, but there was a lot of talk earlier in the draft that you could see the Cardinals trading down, but I think they're only going to do that if they get like some blockbuster deal similar to what the Texans got when they were able to trade up with Arizona to get that number 3 pick. I don't see them trading down, so I have them taking Marvin Harrison, who is 0-3 against Michigan, by the way.
I hate you right now.
I truly just don't care.
Great minds think alike, Dylan, because I also have the Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr. You got a quarterback in Kyler Murray. You have a nice running back in James Conner, Trey McBride, who's becoming a sneaky good tight end here in this league. You need the deep threat. I mean, the best run the Cardinals organization ever had was when Larry Fitzgerald was there. I'm not saying Marvin Harrison Jr. is Larry Fitzgerald, but when you have an opportunity to get a talent like this to match up with a quarterback like Kyler Murray, I think Marvin's too good to pass up. Growing up, we all know his dad was Marvin Harrison for the Colts at Ohio State. He's been in the locker room his whole life. Seems like a good kid, good dude. Never hear about him getting in trouble off the field. He's a football guy. So get Kyler Murray at number 1 and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, and I mean, you look at Grant, like the last year when they were playing Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, there were videos of him in the hotel catching balls on the jugs machine. So, I mean, he is a guy that lives and breathes football. He's not just some guy that's trying to live off his dad's name or has the notoriety. The guy works his tail off, and he is a tremendously talented receiver. And who knows, when it's all said and done, he might end up being a better receiver than his dad.
The Cardinals are so bad right now that they need to take the best player available because they have needs everywhere, obviously, because they're so bad. They need to take the best player available, and I think at that point, Marvin Harrison Jr. will be. Just overall, he's just a stud. Overall, he's the best player at wide receiver, and probably going to be the best player available at number 4, unless something crazy happens in the first 3 picks like last year. But yeah, I've got Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4 going to the Cardinals.
Dylan, I know you said no trades. I said screw it anyway. The Vikings have traded with the Arizona Cardinals and are now on the clock. And they will be drafting Jaden Daniels. KOC gets his guy. I think it's interesting that he was the very last quarterback they met with all of a sudden very late last week, right at the end of like where the 30 or top 30 visits happen. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's a very real thing now, like especially the rumors out of Washington that it didn't go very well. But from the Cardinals' perspective, they need all the help they can get, like we already mentioned. This would give them 2 extra first-round picks. Go get some dudes and just kind of revamp your whole roster this year.
Yeah, and if you're a quarterback in this year's draft, I fully believe that if you're a quarterback, we talked about the Patriots being somebody that a team you don't want to go to. You can't pick a better place than going to Minnesota to be a rookie quarterback. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, a solid offensive line, a coach that a lot of personnel around the league were referring to Kevin O'Connell as a junior Sean McVay. And I mean, the guy won 3 games last year with Joshua Dobbs, and who else did he have in there that finished the games for him? Nick McMullins. But yeah, so Ethan with the first trade, and we're going on to right now the Chargers, but it is not going to be the Chargers here. This is where I think the Vikings trade up and they go and get their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. And, this is Harbaugh helping the guy that got him a national title out. I mean, this is perfect. I think as far as playing in an offense, J.J. McCarthy is the most understanding of shifting guys over, getting favorable matchups. I talked about him being a tremendous leader. He understands the pro game compared to just because, we're being under Coach Harbaugh and playing in that Michigan system. He's an incredibly efficient player. I mean, the biggest question mark is his, he wasn't asked to do a whole lot at Michigan because of how dominant they were in the run game. But, you go and you pull up his third down numbers, and in crunch time, when Michigan needed him to make a play, you go back to the Alabama game, or even in the national title when Michigan was in the lead and they were trying to put the game away. You go back, look at some of the throws he delivered. He had a third down run that extended the drive that got them out of punting from their own end zone. The guy, when he has to make plays, he knows how to do it. And, he's got tremendous receivers. He can learn under Sam Darnold, who's also going to be, I think, an asset as well. And he doesn't have to start right away. I think Sam Darnold could come in 5 or 6 games and then bring JJ slowly along.
Yeah, Dylan, I'm gonna make this quick because everything I had to say you said already. The Vikings trade up to 5. They take J.J. McCarthy. And to your point, if I'm a rookie quarterback, Minnesota is where I want to be because they got everything. You mentioned the skilled players around them. What about the 2 bookend tackles? Christian Jerisaw, Brian O'Neill, the head coach. I think an ascending defense with Brian Flores out there who's going to protect you. This is the spot I'd want to be. And the Vikings might not get the most talented quarterback in the draft, but they're going to get someone who played in a pro system for these last 3 years and knows how to practice like a pro, thanks to Jim Harbaugh. So the Vikings get J.J. McCarthy.
100%. The Vikings are going to trade up to the number 5 pick. They're going to get J.J. McCarthy. It's the perfect situation. And for Jim Harbaugh, if the next team after this that probably needs a quarterback would be Denver, and Jim Harbaugh is not about to risk his former quarterback going to a division rival and having to play him twice a year. So I think he trades up, or he trades with the Vikings to get JJ to Minnesota, and he's in we're basically a broken record at this point. Perfect situation for him. He's got great receivers, got a great O-line. He's going to be just fine. This is the kind of system he would thrive in. And the Vikings really wouldn't have much fall off from Kirk Cousins at that point.
All right, this is where I pick my first non-QB. I think the Chargers stay put, and they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr., give the Herbert his number 1 target now that they basically traded or let everyone walk on that whole team. But, why not? Harbaugh makes a splash, his first pick back in the NFL.
Okay. All right. And number 6 is the New York Giants. And, there's talk of them potentially trading a quarterback, but I don't necessarily buy that because I think that I believe that this is coming from ownership. This isn't coming from the GM or the head coach. I think Daboll is about as done with Daniel Jones as you could be, but John Mara is a very stubborn owner and, very old school that stubborn that this is the guy, this was our franchise quarterback. We're going to ride this out. And I think they're going to give him one last shot this year, and they're going to go out and draft Rome Odunze from Washington. They have no weapons at the moment. Darren Waller is deciding, I think he actually officially retired or maybe not. And, or deciding if he wants to be a rapper, but I think they go and get Roma Dunze.
So Dylan, it's nice to see we finally differ on one of our picks. Same position, different receiver. I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors. Just an explosive, athletic freak there from LSU. And like you said, the Giants need weapons. They have no skilled players. They have no pizzazz on that team. The Giants they're in trouble. And we saw what Daniel Jones was with Saquon Barkley and without Saquon Barkley. Without Saquon Barkley, he's a backup. With Saquon Barkley, he's a okay starter. So give him an explosive receiver on the edge to try to give him some life at the quarterback spot and the team in general in New York City. And the last time they drafted a wide receiver from LSU, it worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah, I agree with Grant. I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors here. Just being an SEC guy, I've gotten to watch him play a lot. He's a freak. He's athletic. He's a pain in the butt to have to face on a Saturday. He's the kind of guy that keeps defenses up at night and keeps opposing fan bases up at night the night before you play him. So I'm going to go Malik Neighbors. The Giants need playmakers. He's a playmaker. Perfect fit.
I don't agree with Dylan very often, probably hardly ever, but I'm going Romy Odunze too. I think it's honestly a toss-up between all three of those top three receivers. I think depending on the team, they all probably have them in different order. Any of the three could be their first overall wide receiver, but Giants get their guy and give Daniel Jones a weapon in his final year that he'll be with the Giants.
And I saw a quote. I can't remember who it was from, but they believe that the Giants have 3 starters at quarterback on their roster in Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, and Tommy DeVito.
Oh boy!
So this is which is fine because it's the Giants and who cares. But number 7, Tennessee Titans are on the clock. We're going down to the South, and there's been they've changing of the guard a little bit with new coach Callahan, whose first name is escaping is Brian Callahan. Dad is Bill, and I think they want to believe in Will Levis at the quarterback. And they're going to go and give him some protection, some much-needed protection, because they have not found a replacement since Taylor Lewan left a couple of years ago. They're going to go out and get the best tackle in the draft, and that's going to be Joe Alt. That's going to be Brian's gift to his dad, who is got to be getting close to retirement. And they go and get a cornerstone on the offensive line for the Titans.
Yeah, man. Shout out Joe Alt, Minnesota kid, goes to Notre Dame. I think he's going to go to Tennessee here. Like you said, Dylan, Tennessee's left tackles last year gave them the most sacks in the NFL. You hire Bill Callahan, he's going to fix that right away. Joe's dad played in the NFL, long NFL career with the Chiefs. I think it's a perfect fit that Bill wants in that room to set the tone and for this Tennessee organization to set a new culture with a new team. So Joe Alt to Tennessee at 7.
I just had a video, a comment on YouTube. Do you think Malik likes his neighbors?
Oh, jeez.
That's awful. That's awful.
Who said
People
that,
suck.
Dylan?
I don't know who yet. I might have an idea of who this yes is, but the dad jokes are just flying off the handle by this guy. Is Joe Alt delete?
Oh, I have no idea who that is. I have Joe Alt as well. The Titans need offensive line. He's the best offensive lineman in the draft. There you go. That's just plain and simple. Keep it short and sweet on that one. Joe Alt.
Yeah, there's nothing to add here. Joe Alt. It's that simple.
All right. Well, then let's go down to the South here to Hayden's favorite team, and this is where we have the first defensive player going. I have him going with Hayden's he played for Hayden's favorite college NFL team. Now he goes to his favorite NFL team. I have him taking Dallas Turner the edge out of Alabama. The last 3 years, the Falcons have drafted 3 straight skill position players. Raheem Morris, I could also see him taking a corner here because they need cornerback help as well. But I think Raheem Morris being in the NFL for as long as he has, I think he knows that getting pressure on the quarterback is more important than having a secondary that'll make up for a poor secondary. And they go get a franchise player on defense in Dallas Turner.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dylan. I feel like we've been saying the same thing for the last 8 years with Atlanta. Where's the pass rush? Well, we're gonna go.
Hayden, you too.
We're gonna go back to Alabama here and see if the SEC Defensive Player of the Year can help turn that around. A kid from Florida went to Alabama, now playing for the Falcons. Dallas Turner.
Where's the pass rush? That's been the $1 million question here in Atlanta for it seems like forever, like you mentioned. It cost us a Super Bowl. That and bad play calling. But overall, yeah, pass rush has been a very glaring issue. I think the last few years we've been like very at the bottom, if not the worst, at the very bottom when it comes to hurries, QB pressures, and sacks. But yeah, Dallas Turner will help you fix that. And I have the Falcons taking Dallas Turner as well. Dallas Turner is as vicious as they come when it comes to a defensive line. I think he will bring that to the NFL. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. I've heard recently that we might pursue a quarterback, which would be ridiculous. But I've got Dallas Turner. You need the Falcons need defensive help. They need defensive line help. And they definitely need help at the edge, and Dallas Turner would be the best edge in the draft. SEC Player of the Year.
Are you saying he'll turn her around this season for Atlanta?
Oh my God!
Dylan, just shut the hell up.
This isn't me. This is all on YouTube. This is a YouTube comment.
Yeah. That's just brutal. But I just don't understand the quarterback rumors. Like, Kirk doesn't have a lot of years left. Why the hell would you waste a first-round pick and a chance to make your team better by drafting a backup quarterback that, honestly, number 8 is way too high for any of the guys that are going to be available for them anyway?
Exactly.
But Dallas Turner, easy pick. Get some pressure and, honestly, get a guy that can give Kirk the ball.
All right, so then we're going back to the Windy City. The Bears, they got their franchise quarterback with the first overall pick. I think they go back and secure the other side of their offensive line, and they draft offensive tackle from Alabama, J.C. Latham. They drafted Darnell Wright last year, who's had a solid rookie year. I think they go and keeping Caleb Williams healthy is number one priority, and they go do that by drafting J.C. Latham.
Dylan, I think the Bears are going to add to the defensive side of the ball here with the 9th pick. Last year they traded for Montez Sweat. Now they pair him with Jared Verse. Matt Eberflus wants to sit back, and he wants to play his zone. When you do that, you need to have 2 guys who can get after the quarterback. Like I said, you had one with Sweat. I think they're going to pair up Verse from there, and then they're going to try to attack the other team's quarterback here in the NFC North now.
It's funny. I think this is the first time we all 3 have different picks. I'll be curious to hear Ethan's pick as well. But I actually have them staying on the offensive side of the ball and staying a playmaker. I have them going with Romy here. They need another wide receiver to kind of beefing up the depth at wide receiver. So I think that's where they go. The wide receiver out of Washington, Romy. Is it Odunze? Is that how you pronounce it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's
Odunze. Great
it doesn't
wide
matter.
receiver out of Washington. So the Bears need another wide receiver, and I think that's an acceptable pick there.
Only took a quarter of the first round, but we finally all have picked different players. I'm going with Grant. I'm going to the defensive side of the ball. But I guess if it was me, I would trade back, try to get one of these QB-needy teams to come up to get their guy if I was the GM. But I'm going Byron Murphy out of Texas. D tackle. you have your Sweat, but now you need that interior pass rush too, just to make Sweat that much more dangerous. The Packers do it well. They have a couple guys inside that are able to free up their edge guys a little bit more. But I'm going Byron Murphy.
That's a name to watch because I think he is one that you could see him slide way back in the first round, but I also, like you have him going, Ethan. I could fully see him being a top 10 pick. And potentially that first overall, first defensive player.
Man, first overall, Byron Murphy, that's aggressive.
Damn.
That is. But, it's a very not they're few and far between. It's not very often you get those strong interior pass rushers. But going to the number 10 here, rounding out the top 10 is the New York Jets. And they, in theory, if I were the Jets, I would be drafting offensive line because you have Aaron Rodgers who lasted 8 plays for you, or not even, was it like 3?
4? Like 4 plays?
Or 4. And you keeping him healthy is the number one thing or key. And I think wouldn't have mattered if it would have been 4 plays or the 40th. The way that offensive line was last year, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have gotten hurt at some point. But the Jets, they're going to go full Jets here, and they're not going to draft an offensive lineman. They're going to go and they're going to draft the number 1 tight end in this draft in Brock Bowers.
Dylan, I'm with you. The Jets should take an offensive lineman because you signed Tyron Smith. Well, you know what? Rumor has it he already has a bad shoulder and will miss time. And they traded for I believe, the right tackle in Baltimore. That's not a long-term answer, but the Jets are a dysfunctional organization, and they're going to say, we need another wide receiver to make Aaron happy. So I think they're going to take Rome Odunze. And I tell you what he does well is what Aaron loves. He's a 50-50 ball getter. Him and Aaron, they're going to sync up. The potential back shoulder fades they throw in the route zone could be deadly. Him and Garrett Wilson, it'll be a nice duo for a year when Aaron's still there. So give me Rome to go to New York City and be a wide receiver for the New York Jets.
So it's funny. The South is the Bible Belt, obviously. I live in Georgia, which is like the core of the Bible Belt. There's 3 people in the last few years that the state of Georgia have worshipped: Jesus Christ, Donald Trump, and Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers goes number 10 to the Jets here. He's just a freak of nature. I've been waiting for him to get drafted so I can actually start pulling for him because he's hard not to like. He's just annoying to face and annoying to have to hear about all the time. But I think he goes number 10 to the Jets. They should go O-line, but in this case, you've got to adding a tight end sometimes is like adding an extra O-lineman, but it's also like adding an extra receiver. Bowers can block, Bowers can catch, Bowers can run. So I think he kind of fits that mold. So, yeah, I got Brock Bowers going number 10 to the New York Jets.
Same thing. Brock Bowers, I think that's another clean sweep. While we are really good at this, we should basically just be on ESPN at this point. But, no, he's probably the best tight end prospect to come out. And, God, I don't even know. Probably a long freaking time. I don't even know the last tight end that came out with his. I mean, maybe one of the Iowa guys, but even then, Fontet didn't live up to it. He was 8th overall or 9th overall, whatever it was. Yeah, he's a stud.
Okay, and then now that the Vikings traded up to 5, that leaves the Chargers to pick here at number 11. And Jim Harbaugh, he is all about establishing a culture. He wants to build this team inside out, and he's gonna. They want to run the ball. They want to help Justin Herbert out, and I have them going up north, but up to the Pacific Northwest, and taking Talise Fuaga, the offensive tackle out of Oregon State. He is the number 1 rated run blocker for the tackles in this draft, and I think he is the perfect fit for a Jim Harbaugh style offense that's going to want to ground and pound and develop some physicality, something that the Chargers have been missing these last few years.
So I'm with you, Dylan. Again, the Vikings trade up to 5. So here's the Chargers. Remember when Harbaugh was in San Francisco, his first draft, they took Aldon Smith, and we were like, they didn't need an edge rusher. Aldon Smith was a stud. You look at this Michigan team that just won the national championship. They had 7 horses up front who could get after the opposing team's quarterback. I see that trend continuing. And I think they're going to stick in Los Angeles. And I'm going to totally butcher this young man's name, but is it Latue, the defensive end from UCLA?
Latue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack, he's coming off a great year last year, but again, he's a little older. Joey Bosa, he's been around a long time. He's consistently banged up. Harbaugh knows the importance of getting after your other team's quarterback. They're going to take the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, and he's going to stay in Los Angeles.
I'm with you, Grant. I've got them going Latue here. Just an overall great edge rusher. He currently at UCLA, so he just stays in LA and goes and plays for the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have the Cardinals going based off of our trade with the Vikings, but I have Malik Neighbors. They pass on Harrison to move back, and they still get one of the top 3, if not the top overall receiver when it's all said and done. So pretty smart move by the Cardinals.
All right. Well, and then let's go to the number 12 pick, the Denver Broncos, who just released their new uniforms today. They're bringing back the Orange Crush uniforms, which they should have just, judging by the new ones that came out, that's the ones they should have made.
They should have kept those.
Yeah, that should have been their permanent ones all the time. But it's the Broncos, so who cares, as Grant would say. But Sean Payton, he got rid of Russell Wilson, did not fit the offense he wants to run, but this next quarterback does. I think they're going to go with Bo Nix here, the quarterback out of Oregon. The guy can make every throw. He's played lots of football. He's a taller version of Drew Brees and a more mobile version of Drew Brees. I think, he's taller, he's bigger. I think he's going to be able to handle that Denver weather as well, a lot better than the way Russell did. I think the Broncos go and get their quarterback in Bo Nix. And this was I made this draft before Zach Wilson was traded there. So, I don't know what the play was there, but I think Sean Payton also said that Taysom Hill was going to be a franchise quarterback. So I don't know if this is some redemption project by him, but I think they go and get Bo Nix.
Dylan, the only person that has to worry about Zach Wilson, New York City, or local husbands whose wives might be on the run, if you know what I'm saying.
I actually saw someone post a photo saying they're called mountain lions in Colorado.
Yeah, so there will be local Cougars in your neighborhood, Zach Wilson. So watch out there, brother. Dylan, I'm with you. Bo Nix, Denver, they need a quarterback. Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, they're not the guys. You're going to go with the guy who played 60-some college starts in Bo Nix. He literally has seen everything. And I think he's a little better than Michael Penix. So at this point, I'm going to go Bo Nix.
I went back and forth on this pick for a while. I had Penix, but then I realized Russell Wilson didn't really fit the mold in Denver. And one thing I've always noticed is John Elway loves a tall white quarterback. It's just kind of been his mold over the years. I had Bo Nix at first falling, but I really think he fits the mold in Denver. And I think Sean Payton would be able to do a lot with him. I'm not convinced any of those guys in Denver are the guy where they're going to look and be like, that's our guy this year. I honestly think I'll be shocked if one of those guys isn't cut after the preseason. So I'm going to go with Bo Nix at number 12, the Denver.
This is a pretty boring show. I'm going Bo Nix as well. This just reeks of Christian Ponder to me. I think Bo Nix is better, but I think this is way too high for him. But at the same time, if you need your guy, go get your guy, I guess, if you like him. So who knows? The Vikings might even do that with their guy. They might completely overpay too, but if it's their guy, so be it. But yeah, Bo Nix at 12.
It's only overpaying if it doesn't work out. That's the rule. It doesn't matter if Daniil Hunter was projected as a 6th-round pick. Mike Zimmer took him in the 3rd round because he thought the guy was going to be a star. Who was right?
That would be Mike Zimmer.
That would be Mike Zimmer.
Are about the steal game too.
Yeah. And we're gonna stay in the AFC West here. The Oakland Raiders are up, and
Las Vegas.
This is a very or Vegas, whatever.
Idiot.
Who cares? Very peculiar situation here. There's a lot of me that thinks that they should go quarterback here, but they also went and signed Gardner Minshew, who I don't think is a long-term answer. But and you saw Antonio Pierce go and say that he thinks Aiden O'Connell has earned the right to compete for the starting job. I think this is potentially a spot for Michael Penix to be drafted here, but I think they're going to go with offensive line. Antonio Pierce, being a defensive guy, understands that. I think he wants to be more of a ball control team. They're going to give Olu Fashionow, the tackle out of Penn State. They're going to go draft him to help shore up that offensive line, and whoever the quarterback is, not that it's going to matter, tried to give Devontae Adams a little bit more hope that he might actually see the football.
So this is just me. It's real simple here. When you play in a division with Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert, I don't care that Aiden O'Connell deserved a chance to be a starter, or Gardner Minshew, Mr. Bridge player. He's been everywhere. The Raiders, they're going to go out and they're going to draft someone who is their guy. Is it too high? Probably. But I'm going to say Michael Penix Jr.
Again, Grant, I agree with you. Too high. It's hard to justify this being a pick here. But when you need a quarterback and you're not sure if they're going to be there in the 2nd round, and there's not going to be many better options in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, in the later rounds, you got to go with them. And, I mean, Penix isn't a bad quarterback. I just think it's going to take him some time to learn an NFL offense. And that's the advantage of probably having two other guys at quarterback here, Minshew and O'Connell. It gives him time to kind of learn the system and kind of figure some things out. I would be surprised if I'm at least the first half of the season, I don't see him playing. Maybe if the later half of the season, once they're eliminated from playoff contention, then I could probably see him starting. But it's a reach here at 13, but I'm going to go with Penix.
And he's a lefty. Only losers throw left-handed.
Yeah, the loser we had for 10 years that threw left-handed ended up in prison for dogfighting. So,
I mean, I thought it was cool. I wore his jersey.
I did too for a while.
I actually wore it for a Halloween costume. It was probably the best one I've ever wore. I have Michael Penix as well, another lefty. Hopefully he doesn't get arrested for dog fighting. But, yeah, I don't know. I think he's a better pick than Bo Nix. I think he's honestly better. Bigger arm, but the injury concerns are very, very real.
Yeah. And, you know, I listened to Joel Klatt way too much, but he's convinced, and I think he may have convinced me that the best Michael Penix in Miami might be even more dangerous fit, but just because of the offense. But going on to to a team that I think all three mutually have a very distaste for, the New Orleans Saints. I have them taking a cornerback here, Quinion Mitchell, the corner out of Toledo. Dennis Allen, very defensive-minded. I could see him going a tackle here, but with the top tackles kind of off the board and this being a very tackle deep draft, I think the Dennis Allen sticks to what he knows best, and I think he goes with a corner in the cornerback out of Toledo.
I went offensive tackle just because Ryan Ramczyk has serious injury issues, and their player they drafted out of Northern Iowa was struggling a couple years ago. So I went with J.C. Latham because right tackle is a need for New Orleans. And what position did J.C. play this last year at Alabama? He played right tackle. You pay Derek Carr last year $150 million. You got to protect your quarterback. The Saints, I think, need to go back to running the ball more, being physical. JC's that kind of player. So I think the Saints beef up front and go Latham from Alabama.
Yep. It's almost a yep. JC, right tackle. Saints need offensive lineman badly. Derek Carr is an injury waiting to happen. So give me JC going to New Orleans. Unfortunately, I have to let a Bama guy go to New Orleans, but that's just going to be the case here.
I'm going offensive tackle as well, but I'm going the guy on the other side of the United States on the West Coast, Troy Fautanu. I don't even know. I am totally butchering that name, but they need to protect Derek Carr at all costs. He's really, unless you want. Did they re-sign Jameis?
No, he's in.
He's in.
That's right. That's right. So okay, at least that disaster's over. But still, I don't know who they have after Derek Carr, and it's probably not going to be good. So
Taysom Hill.
Oh, they're screwed.
Yes, there he is.
Quarterback
Great.
Taysom Hill.
Great. But yeah, they need O linemen.
But okay, well then we're gonna go up to Naptown, Indianapolis on the clock. I have them. They drafted a quarterback last year who ended up getting hurt and missing a majority of his time. I think they're gonna go and get a receiver to add to their receiver room in Malik Neighbors out of LSU.
You know, I'm with you, Dylan. I think the Colts are going to upgrade on their skilled players, but to me, the best player available here in the draft is Brock Bowers, and I think the Colts are going to go with Brock Bowers. When they were at their peak was when they had Dallas Clark running the seam, and then for all these years after that, the New England Patriots destroyed the Colts with Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez for those couple of years. Well, the Colts finally get their guy. And Brock Bowers, him, Michael Pittman Jr., and Anthony Richardson. If all those dudes can stay healthy, that's a fun little offensive core for Shane Steichen. So give me Brock Bowers.
This might be a crazy pick. I'm going to go defensive side of the ball here. I'm going to go corner because I see where the Colts need a corner. I'm going to go with Cooper. Is it Dejean from Iowa?
Dejean. Yeah, and it's funny because invalid fair catch.
Do what?
It's invalid fair catch is how you say his name.
Gotcha. I did not watch a lot of Iowa football last year. Notice
you didn't miss much.
Yeah,
nope.
The offense.
Good for you. Good for you.
The offense just was not. I can't watch a terrible offense. I don't know why. I'm an offensive mind when it comes to watching football. And Iowa's offense just wasn't doing it for me. But their defense was really good, and this guy was a big reason. So I'm going to go with Cooper DeJean at 15 going to Indianapolis.
I'm going corner. I'm going a different one, though. I'm going Quinion Mitchell. He's from Toledo, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Small town school, pretty cool story to be able to go top 15 in the draft.
So
Ethan, are you going to say are you saying he's going to rocket up the first round?
No, I'm not. That's
well,
Dylan, can you mute his ass? That was just embarrassing. Like, come on.
That was Grant? Yeah, I can mute Grant.
Thank
That's
you.
easy.
Thank you. Good Lord.
I got you.
God.
You. But there was also somebody, on YouTube said Quinya Winham. and I cannot mute him. So he's. If you don't like dad jokes, you can just get out of the chat.
I'm good at dad jokes, but that was stupid.
And I
I
realized
can't hear you.
Okay.
I can't hear you.
I said all dad jokes are stupid, and then I realized that you couldn't hear me.
Yep.
But we're about, almost we're halfway through the first round here, and the Seahawks on the clock here. I have them sticking with a local guy. I have them taking the offensive lineman out of Washington, Troy Fontenot. They're looking to shore up the offensive line. They've got good receivers. They've got a solid, reliable quarterback. Two really good running backs. They need to shore up that offensive line. I think Mike McDonald, in his first year as head coach, I think he's going to be able to sustain the defense that Pete Carroll has had throughout. I think they're going to go offense. And Fontenot is someone that can play. He can play. He's played both inside and outside on the offensive line. You can plug him pretty much anywhere. And he's, I think, a day one starter for the Seahawks.
You know, Dylan, I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball here, and I'm going to go Byron Murphy for Seattle. This just feels like a Mike McDonald pick. He's coming in with the defense he ran these last couple of years in Baltimore. He wants to get after it, just like I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name. Number 92 last year in Baltimore, an absolute stud. He could get that there in Seattle this year. Him and Leonard Williams, that's a nice little duo on the inside. So give me Byron Murphy to the Seahawks.
I'm actually going to agree with Dylan. I think they go offensive line and go Troy Fontenot here, or however you pronounce it. Familiarity is a big thing here. Not only is he not going to have to go very far, he's also got two of his assistant coaches on that coaching staff now with the Seattle Seahawks. And I think that'll be a huge advantage for him going there. Unfortunately, neither of those coaches will be coming to Tuscaloosa. I was really hoping they would stay, but yeah, I think that works out in his favor. He's got Scott Huff, who was an incredible O-line coach at Washington, and then he's got Ryan Grubb at offensive coordinator. So I just think overall, I've been saying the word fit all night. He's going to fit in that system in Seattle.
I'm going defense. They went to Illinois last year for their first round pick. I have them going back to that well. I have them taking Jerzon Newton, the defensive tackle. Just get a big guy to plug there in the middle. Absolutely dominant in the Big Ten this year. Zerzan? I don't even know how to say his name.
First team All Big Ten defensive tackle. That's all we need to know.
He's decent.
Yeah, he was okay.
But we went from the Pacific Northwest to the Southeast. Jacksonville on the clock.
Dylan knows geography.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
6th grade geography bee champion.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well, you can believe whatever you want, but the truth, that's the truth there. So
no certificate.
I have them taking a cornerback here. I have them taking Terrion Arnold, the corner out of Alabama, staying in the South. Darius Williams left in free agency. You go look at in the AFC South right now. You look at Nico Collins, Michael Pittman for the Colts. Calvin Ridley would be teammates, but lots of good receivers there in
Ridley's
in the
Tennessee
AFC
now.
South. Oh, you're right. So
yeah, him
okay,
and D-Hop.
DeAndre Hopkins. So lots of good corners. I think Jacksonville goes and they draft Darius Williams' replacement, and that's going to be Terrion Arnold.
Dylan agreed on picks.
We're back.
We're back, baby. But to me, anytime you can get a defensive back coached by Nick Saban, it's a win. And actually, as we said that, guys, Jacksonville just gave up another third and 8 conversion. So they need a corner. They're going to go Terrion Arnold. Can get a corner who can shut down one side of the field. So yeah, I think this is an easier pick for the night for Jacksonville because their secondary is such a bad need. So Terrion Arnold to the Jaguars at pick 17.
Yeah. I know that the guy from Toledo is technically rated higher than Terrion Arnold, I believe. But in this situation, when secondary is a higher need, not trying to sound biased here, but you've got a guy, like you mentioned, Grant, coached by Nick Saban and has played in Alabama, played against the best of the best. You got to take him. Terrion Arnold is that guy. Overall, the dude's just a ridiculous playmaker. Another one. When he first came to Alabama, I couldn't stand him because it seemed like he was always the reason teams would convert on 3rd and 15 against us. But then he ended up being a huge defensive playmaker. I can't remember how many interceptions he had this year, including a few pick sixes. I mean, the guy just overall is an unbelievable player. And Miss Terry, Nick Saban's wife, he happens to be, I think, Terry Saban's favorite player of all time at Alabama. So that gives the point there. If you're a favorite by any Saban, then that should be your good work at that point. So, yeah, I got Terrion Arnold going to Jack.
Same, guys. Not going to add anything to it. So, yep, quarterback, Alabama.
All right, then. No, going down to the Queen City, the Cincinnati Bengals, home of Skyline Chili. I have them taking this is where I have, and I was really hoping I was gonna get this to work out where he would fall to Dallas, but it didn't quite work out that way. But I haven't taken Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle out of Texas. The more I look into this, I would be absolutely shocked that he falls to Baltimore, or to Cincinnati. But you look where Cincinnati has been the last 2 years. They've beaten the Chiefs, and then they've lost to the Chiefs in the AFC title game. And the Chiefs have Chris Jones. I think the Bengals get go and get their version of Chris Jones in Byron Murphy, who, you talk about U.S. quarterbacks where they hate getting pressure from, and it's always from the interior pressure. And that's what the Bengals are trying to do. That's going to be the pick that they think gets them over the hump.
And, the Bengals lost DJ Reader this year. Big piece in the middle for their run game. So that's a great fit and a great pickup by them, Dylan. But I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. Offensive line, Joe Burrow has been getting hit too much in these first 4 years in his career. ACL tear as a rookie, the torn ligament in his wrist last year. Even when they went to the Super Bowl that year against the Titans, he got sacked 9 times. So they're going to go with that young man from Oregon State, excuse me, Dylan. I know you had him going earlier. Is it Talise Fuaga?
Yes,
he
close
played
enough.
He played right tackle at Oregon State. Guess what? He can come in and play right tackle for Cincinnati right away. Yes, you do lose Joe Mixon, but I also think you got to continue to establish the running game. You mentioned he's a great run blocker. They'll work to keep Joe Burrow upright. So Cincinnati offensive goes with the tackle from Oregon State.
Everything Grant just said, I agree with. Talise Fuego, Oregon State. Joe Burrow needs offensive line help badly at this point if he wants to have a long career. Go get the best available, and that's going to be Fuego.
I'm going offensive tackle as well. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. The guy from Penn State was honestly almost like a top 10 pick last year. Didn't have the year he wanted, but all the physical tools you could possibly want in a tackle prospect. So Luma Fashana, that's what we're going to go with. So I don't know.
The effort was there, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's late at night. I've had a long day. I thought I did pretty well.
So, and then we're going to the team that the Bengals lost to in the Super Bowl, the Rams. Sean McVay making his first ever first-round pick since he's been head coach here. And that's also, I've heard that there's a lot of possibilities of them trading out of the first round entirely. But I have him staying in, and I have him taking Tyler Guyton, the offensive lineman out of Oklahoma. They shored up the interior of the offensive line during free agency, and they've been missing a tackle ever since Whitworth retired. I think they get that replacement in Tyler Guyton.
The greatest defensive tackle of our generation just retired. The Rams also had that good rookie last year, but they're going to pair him up with another rookie. Ethan had him going earlier, Jay Newton, from Illinois. You lose a great player, you need to replace him with another great player. Dylan, like you mentioned, keeping pressure on the inside with those quarterbacks in the NFC West. You want to keep up with the Niners, you got to get after Brock Purdy. So Jershawn Newton from Illinois to the Rams.
Now, I was gonna, when I was doing this mock draft, I looked down, I was like, if Byron Murphy falls to the Rams, that's basically just getting Aaron Donald 2.0 almost, potentially. Like, I was like, yeah, I can't let that happen.
I have that happening.
I have that happening.
That's all I'm going to say about that. I have that.
That was awesome. Well played, Hayden.
That's awesome. I don't have that happening, but I have another defensive lineman, Jared Verse. He's going to go to the Rams. Not quite, probably ever going to be the level of Aaron Donald, but a good defensive player.
Okay, going to the Steel City. Recurring guest Mike Zier's team, the Steelers, are on the clock, and they've got a new quarterback, and they need to protect him. And I think this is quarterbacks. You're right.
Quarterbacks.
I think this is the year they hired Art Smith to be the offensive coordinator. I think this is where the Steelers get back to playing Steelers football, and I have them taking Amarius Mims, the tackle out of Georgia. This is the first time in a while that they don't go flash or the hot, sexy pick. They get back to being Steeler football and drafting a tackle.
Yeah, I almost, guys, went wide receiver here just because they traded Deontay Johnson this offseason. But no, we're keeping it in the trenches. But I have them going with, is it Troy Fonatu, the offensive tackle from Washington? Dylan, just, for the exact same reasons you just said, two new quarterbacks. Even when Kenny Pickett was playing last year, he was still taking a lot of shots. We're going to do everything we can to keep Russ upright and make sure whoever our quarterback isn't on the ground all the time. So Troy Fontenot, the offensive tackle from Washington, to the Steelers.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce that guy's name from Penn State.
Don't do it. It's not fun.
It's not fun. I've had a long enough day, and if I tried to pronounce it, we'd be here all night. But y'all know who I'm going with.
I'm going offensive tackle, Amarius Mims. That one's a little easier to pronounce, I guess, out of Georgia.
Hey, Ethan and I agree again. Look at that.
Not proud of it. Don't worry.
You don't have to be. Great minds think alike. What can we say?
Hey, but if you're
21,
if you're both right, you should be proud of it.
That's right.
I get credit.
Number 21. I don't need the credit. That's fine. Number 21. The Dolphins are on the clock here, and like I said, I think if it was up to me, I would be taking Michael Penix, but it's not up to me. The Dolphins, they lost Andrew Van Ginkel and Christian Wilkins in free agency. Jalen Phillips is coming off an Achilles. The defense, when those two
Bradley Chubb's coming off an ACL.
Yep. When those injuries really started to pile up, that was when the season started to curtail for the Dolphins. I think they go and try to get back to building a pass rush. I think they go and get Chop Robinson, the edge out of Penn State. Now, he had moments where he was the best player on the field. I think consistency is a concern with him. When you watch the Michigan game, when Michigan ran the ball 32 straight times, it was because they were way tougher than Penn State, but it was also because they could not block Chop Robinson, and it was very obvious very early on in that game. It was because of him.
I think the Dolphins are going to make the mistake, and they're going to pay Tua. Their GM is going to have a sense of arrogance. He was saying, hey, this is my guy. I fired Brian Flores for Tua. You lose Robert Hunt in the offseason to Carolina. You need to protect your quarterback, especially from the inside, like you said, Dylan. So Graham Barton, the guard/center from Duke, goes down to Miami. And then also I think with McDaniel, with these two running backs, you need to run the ball. We'll get a guard who can come in, plug and play from day one to help out with that. So Graham Barton, the guard and center from Duke, going to the Dolphins.
I've got them going O-line, but I have them. This is where I have Amarius Sims going. Tua needs protection. Just plain and simple.
I was debating on which defensive lineman to go with. I thought Chop Robinson was a cooler name than the UCLA guy, so we're going with Chop Robinson.
All right,
I like
Ethan
it.
and I back-to-back picks.
I mean, he was like he. I think it said he weighed like 10 pounds or something at birth. Like
No,
just
Chop was like 13 or 14.
13. That's what it was. Yeah, just some insane number.
How did he not
His poor
literally
mother.
break his mother?
Ugh,
C-section,
she's probably still
that's the
having
only way.
nightmares.
Oh my God. I didn't even want to think about that. But I'm thinking about it.
You're thinking about it. Grant, we don't want to know what Grant's doing tonight. But
Go on.
the Eagles are up here. The runner-up in the NFC East this past year.
Such a douche.
They won as many playoff games as the Bears did this year.
They did. And CeeDee Lamb just scored again. But the Eagles secondary was absolutely abysmal this year. And I mean, you look at the NFC East receivers who they have: CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, soon to be Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze for the Giants. That I think they drink the Kool-Aid and take Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama.
The best name in the last 5 years in college football. Like when someone first told me this dude's name was Kool-Aid, I was like, is this some sort of joke? Like, are they trying to see if I agree with the stereotype here? And they're like, no, the dude's name is legit Kool-Aid. So that's awesome. I also have the Eagles going with a corner, but Quinyon Mitchell, the kid from Toledo, that's who I have them selecting. Dylan, like you said, the secondary was awful. They need as much help as they can get, and I think they're going to try to find a corner to help with that, help fill that hole.
I agree with Grant. Quinyon Mitchell is going to go to the Eagles here at 22. They need help in that secondary if they want to make it further and not lose 5 out of their last 6 games at the end of the season again.
If they don't go after some sort of secondary person in the first round, everyone should be fired in that front office. But we're going with Nate Wiggins. I believe he's out of Clemson.
Yep. And now the Chargers are back on the clock after trading with the Vikings. And Grant, you said that they were going to be taking an edge from staying in the greater Los Angeles area. I have them taking Latu just a little bit later from UCLA. Highly productive edge and somebody that will be able to fit right in with Bosa and Mac, because we all know Bosa is going to get hurt at some point, and Mac is just getting up there in age, and he's not an every down player like he used to be.
Mm-hmm. So, again, we're with the Chargers here at 23. Like I said, I had them going defensive line with their first pick. With their second pick, I got them taking Amarius Mims from Georgia. Look what John Harbaugh did. Brought in, drawing a blank on the OC, Greg Roman, the 2 backs from Baltimore. You now have Rashawn Slater as your left tackle, Amarius Mims as your right tackle. They're going to be physical up front. The big tackle for Georgia is going to the Chargers.
I have them going O-line as well, but I have them going Graham Barton out of Duke. At this point of the draft, he's probably going to be one of the better ones available. I mean, overall, he was a big reason for Riley Leonard's success. So let's go with Graham Barton.
I am actually going defensive end as well for the Cardinals. We are going Latu with their third first-round pick of the night.
Okay. And now the Super Bowl 59 champions are on the clock.
When did you turn your Xbox
And
on?
future
The Chiefs are up.
future
Did they
Super
trade
Bowl
up? There's no trades, Dylan.
Future Super Bowl champion, the Cowboys, I have them taking Jackson Powers Johnson, the offensive lineman out of Oregon. The Cowboys, they lost Tyron Smith. Unfortunately, I mean, Tyron had a great career for Dallas. We'll miss him, but it was time to move on. He wasn't going to be able to play every game. His body just gave out on him. I wish him nothing but the best. But I think this could be similar to what the Cowboys did 11 years ago when they went and took Travis Frederick out of Wisconsin. I think, they start building the offensive line. Tyler Smith is going to move over to left tackle. You need somebody to fill in his spot. I think they go get it in Jackson Powers Johnson.
I have the Cowboys going offensive tackle. And for the third time tonight, it's the dude from Penn State, whose name I cannot pronounce. So carry on.
Move on with life. Good job.
I have them going offensive line as well, and I have them also going with Jackson Powers Johnson at 24.
Hell yeah. Yep.
I am actually going interior O-line. I have no idea if they need it, but Graham Barton. This just seems like a Dallas pick.
I would be very happy with that one as
This
well.
is Dallas going all out. AKA, we're doing the same damn thing we've done 5 out of the past 7 drafts, taking an interior line.
It's going to pay off this year. But the Packers are now on the clock here. And, Ethan, you talked about it earlier, how they have good interior and good edge players, the good D-line. What they're missing on defense, they're missing a good linebacker, and I have them taking Junior Colson, the linebacker out of Michigan. I think he can do what kind of Jack Campbell did for the Lions defense this year. He's a tough every down player. And, good sideline to sideline. I think he's going to fit in with the defense for the Packers.
They traded Rasul Douglas last year. The Packers, they need a corner. I'm going to give him Nate Wiggins. Dude who ran a 4.2 at the combine. He can straight out fly. Played a lot of man coverage at Clemson. Going to come in, fit well with that new DC, former head coach from BC. So Nate Wiggins from Clemson to the Packers.
Yep, I have Nate Wiggins going to the Packers as well, actually. They need help in the secondary, and perfect fit.
This pick is going to be like the Antichrist for the Packers front office, but we're going Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver.
A skill player?
Yep. A skill player first round.
What?
The curse is broken. Aaron Rodgers just he's going back to the dark treatment. He just can't handle it.
Someone get the ayahuasca out.
Number 26. We have the Bucks are on the clock, and I have them staying in the state of Florida here. They draft a Florida man, Jared Verse, the edge out of Florida State. Shaq Barrett left in free agency. They go and draft his replacement, Verse.
When Tampa Bay won that Super Bowl, they had awesome guard and center play. I think they're going to go with Jackson Powers Johnson. You re-sign all those players on offense, including Baker Mayfield. Do you want to keep him upright? Get him an interior lineman who's going to keep him protected.
Everything inside of me wants to stir the pot and kind of make things interesting here at the Bucks pick. But I like the guy who I originally had going to the Bucks, and I don't like the Bucks. So biasly, I am going to not have that guy. I am going to go with Dylan here and go with Verse from Florida State, staying in state and going to the Bucks.
This is a total homer pick, but they already are rowing the boat in their secondary. They're going to be rowing the boat even more. We're going with Tyler Nubin, safety.
Ooh,
That was
Homer
my
pick. It's
all
fine.
right.
that was one of my other picks. But the
I,
pick
I like the fit.
So now the Bills, or no, the Cardinals, excuse me,
Cardinals.
are on the clock. They went and got Marvin Harrison with the number 4 pick. This is the pick they got from Houston. I think they go to the defensive side of the ball and they go and get Darius Robinson, the edge out of Missouri.
So the Cardinals, they got a receiver early in the first round. I think they're going to get a corner at this point right now to shut down the other team's number 1, and that'll be Kool-Aid McKinstry. Just swapping out red jerseys.
I have them going defense, but I have them going more on the D line. I have them going with Peyton Wilson, linebacker out of NC State. That's who I was originally had going to the Bucks, but I changed it up at the last minute. Peyton Wilson is probably one of the most underrated linebackers in this draft. Not getting a lot of attention because he plays at NC State, but overall, just a vicious linebacker. Comes from a very athletic family as well. His brother is a pitcher for the Brewers, as a relief pitcher for the Brewers. Used to play for the Braves as well. But yeah, Peyton Wilson at number 27 going to Arizona.
I lied earlier. This is now the Cardinals' 3rd pick, but I'm glad I'm agreeing with Grant and not Dylan. But yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry.
All right. So the Bills are up now, and they got rid of
If you didn't pick a wide receiver, just log off because they need one in the worst way.
They do, but I don't think the Bills draft a receiver. I have them going similar to what the Bengals have done, and they go with a draft an interior defensive lineman in Jerzon Newton out of Illinois. The goal is to beat Kansas City. They want to get to Mahomes, and they want to do that with strong interior pressure.
That would be a very Buffalo pick, but you cannot roll into the NFL with the receivers that these guys have on their roster right now. It is absolutely unacceptable. If you want to watch that, watch the Iowa Hawkeyes last year, and I gave up on them after week 6. So with that being said, Brian Thomas Jr. To the Bills. They need an explosive player on the edge. The other cat from LSU last year, I think he's going to find a home in Western New York, and then hopefully he'll be Josh Allen's best friend. We'll see.
Yeah, after you lose Stephon Diggs, you can't not replace him. So I've got Brian Thomas Jr. going to the Bills here. I was surprised when I made this mock draft how far I had him falling, but at this point it just makes sense for him to go to Buffalo. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. going to Buffalo at 28.
I have Adonai Mitchell going here out of Texas, former Georgia Bulldog.
Okay, and now we're on to where the draft is hosted. The Lions are on the clock here, and there was a lot of me that thought they would go with an edge, but I think right now, the way this draft has turned out, there aren't many options for them at the moment, especially right now as far as value and picks go. I think they can wait and go down a little bit and get one in the second round. But I have this, and this is a guy that I think is going to fit in well with the Lions. I mean, he's just a Dan Campbell pick. I have him going with Zach Frazier, the interior offensive lineman out of West Virginia. He's a former state champion wrestler, gritty guy who, like I said, is just going to mesh well with what Dan Campbell is trying to build in Detroit.
I think the Lions dip into a familiar well they did last year, going back to the University of Iowa and taking Cooper DeJean. Cornerback and secondary is still an issue on their team. You look at how well Sam Laporta and Jack Campbell fit into what they wanted to do last year. Dylan, you mentioned a culture fit. And I think DeJean is going to be that pick for them. They're at 29.
This is where I finally have Kool-Aid McKinstry going. I think the Lions need a little bit of help in the secondary, and at that point in the draft, you want to go with somebody with experience, and they're, like I've mentioned earlier, it doesn't get much more experience than playing in the SEC, so go with Kool-Aid McKinstry here.
I'm going opposite of Hutchinson. We're going Darius Robinson out of Missouri. Give someone
Yeah, and that was I think that's if he's there, I think that's who the Lions will take. But I have him going sooner. But going to the to Baltimore now, land of the crab cakes. I have them a pick later from you, Grant. I have him taking Cooper DeJean, the corner out of Iowa. He's a tough, smart player. John Harbaugh, former special teams coordinator. He's going to be a factor on special teams as well. I think that's what makes Harbaugh take him. And the Ravens get another good corner.
Well, I mentioned earlier the Ravens, they traded their right tackle last year to the New York Jets earlier this offseason, so you got to replace him. I'm going to go with Tyler Guyton at the University of Oklahoma. The Ravens will continue to run that power running game. Tyler will fit right in. Played right tackle at OU. He can slide and play right tackle for the Ravens. Just seems like a Ravens pick. So Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma.
I agree with Grant. Guyton out of Oklahoma, Ravens pick. Just makes sense here.
Going offensive tackle, Taylise Fuaga. I can't remember how to say it, but you guys have said it twice already, so that's good enough.
I think you said that about as good as you could. I think that's
Thank you.
Well done, Ethan.
This is my tennis match PA announcer skills from the University of Iowa. So shout out to all those international names.
All right, and then 31, the Super Bowl runner-ups, the 49ers on the clock. I have him taking a corner. Nate Wiggins is a corner out of Clemson. He's got good instincts, good recovery speed. He is really good in played a lot of cover 3 at Clemson, which is what the Niners play a lot of. So I think he's going to be a good fit there. And really one of the few holes that Niners roster has is another corner.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dylan. I think cornerback is a spot that this Niners roster needs to fix. And they're going to go with Ennis Rakeshaw Jr., cornerback from the University of Missouri. And the way the board fell when I was on NFL.com, he was the best corner available at 31. So that's who the 49ers are going with.
I have the 49ers going O-line here. I honestly, it was one of those things I couldn't figure out what they needed. And at this point, I started looking at the rankings and just was like, okay, this makes sense here. So I had them going Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle out of Arizona.
I have them going cornerback as well. I am giving them Cooper DeJean.
All right. And rounding out the first round, which is going to conclude our mock draft. We still got Curveball of the week to get to, which Grant has. But the former Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, are on the clock. And something that they struggled with for most of the year with at the receiver position of guys getting separation, getting open. There are some question marks with Rashee Racer going to be suspended for probably half the year after he decided to drag race and get into a wreck in Dallas. I have him going with a guy that knows how to find soft spots in zones. And I mean, I'm stereotyping every possible way you can stereotype a wide receiver here. But I have him going down to Georgia like the devil did. And the Chiefs go and get Ladd McConkey, the receiver.
I'm with you, Dylan. I think the Chiefs are going to go wide receiver just because one, it's a need, and two, just kind of the way that the draft board fell for me. But I'm gonna go with Adonai Mitchell, and I'm gonna go with Mitchell because they had troubles in the red zone last year. He's a big body receiver where you can maybe throw that 50-50 ball, and he'll go up and he'll get you 6 in the red zone.
You talked about the Chiefs needing receivers that can create separation. I saw this guy separate against my defense more times than I cared to week 2 of the college football season last year. I'm going to go A.D. Mitchell here at number 32 to the Chiefs. It was a coin flip again between him and McCarthy. I just think A.D. Mitchell is a little bit better at creating that separation, creating space, and he's just he's a little bit more explosive than McCarthy is. So A.D. Mitchell at 32 to round out the first round.
I'm going another Texas receiver, Xavier Worthy, the burner, who actually can catch the ball, unlike majority of the Chiefs receivers. So, he should help.
Okay, well, that concludes our mock draft. So make sure you guys tune in on Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be live. We'll be live on YouTube. We'll be live on Facebook like we were tonight. So however you want to interact, leave comments, interact with us. Don't be shy. We love to hear from you guys, especially the dad jokes. Those were fire. So keep them coming. But before we wrap up the show here, Grant, what do you have for Curveball of the Week?
So, normally sometimes, guys, whenever we associate with travel stories, they're all miserable, and they make us question things about our life. But I want to know, of all the airports you guys have been to in this country, what's the best one that you've been to? Most accommodating, easy to get around. What's the best airport in America you've been to?
I'm not going to say MSP because I think that's the scapegoat answer, just the easy one.
But it is an easy airport.
I'm going to say Sky Harbor in Phoenix. Super easy to get through. The only hard thing is kind of navigating around like the gates and stuff because it can be a little confusing. There's like 2 different. It's just weird. But otherwise, the airport itself, super nice.
That's a great question.
Okay. So I've only flown into Sky Harbor, actually. I've never flown out of it. So, I mean, mine was just basically walking to where they pick you up at, because when I fly into Mesa, which is a direct flight from Bismarck to Mesa. But it's certainly the easiest one is certainly not Denver. That one is a bit of a nightmare. Orlando is fairly big.
Don't even get me started on that place. Ooh.
Orlando?
Yeah. Tampa is decent. It's a lot smaller than you'd think from when I was there a couple of years ago. Vegas, not great. LAX, God no. San Diego's was pretty nice, but I'm gonna take the scapegoat answer, and I'm gonna go with Minneapolis. I'm gonna go with MSP.
You don't live here, so that's fair.
Yeah, you don't live here. So that's not your home airport, Dylan. So that's okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you've seen some of the airports that Bismarck's a little bit bigger. Bismarck, Minot, Fargo. I mean, those are all Dickinson's like extremely small. There's only one terminal. They don't even have like where it like connects, like where you have to you actually have to walk onto the I don't even know what you call it, but
tarmac.
It's not like a ramp that you walk on. You walk like on the the tarmac. You walk on the tarmac and go up the steps.
You can feel pretty cool that way, though. You can just stand at the top and wave to all 20 people sitting in the airport.
That's true. I'll have to do that next. But half the time that he doesn't have a dad joke this time. He has said Chicago O'Hare hands down. Which the one time I went to Chicago, we did I think is Midway. I think that's the second airport there. But
unless you like sweaty armpits, you don't like O'Hare International Airport. It's a cesspool.
Good to know.
I'm sorry whoever's commenting that, but you're an idiot.
He said no. Or Or yeah. Oh, well.
Eeh.
Okay, yeah. I forgot. It was best airport experience. My bad.
I live in the busiest, or the 40 or an hour from the busiest airport in at least America, if not the world.
It's
of Hartsfield
nuts.
Jackson. It sucks. I hate it. But
You walk a mile just to get to your gate.
Yep. You got to take 3 different trains to get to your gate. It's
Seriously.
the biggest pain. I hate it. LaGuardia is awful. Newark, New Jersey is a train wreck. But so neither of them in New York, the New York, New Jersey airports, all of them are terrible. I haven't had a bad experience in Orlando. I've gotten in and out of there pretty easily. New Orleans, I was not a fan of the New Orleans airport. I would probably have to say the easiest of the bigger airports. I've been through some small airports that have been really easy because you only have like 2 gates, so I kind of eliminate those. I would probably have to say Kansas City was probably the easiest airport for me to get in and out of. It was very self-explanatory, unlike Atlanta. It took me until probably 2 years ago to finally figure out the Atlanta airport, and I haven't flown in about over a year, so it probably has all changed, so I probably have to go through all that again. But I would have to say Kansas City, just simple, self-explanatory, and you don't feel intimidated when you go through TSA. So Atlanta, it makes you feel like you're in prison when you go through TSA. So
it's fair.
Yeah, I'd have to say, guys, an honorable mention for me, the Salt Lake City Airport.
Yep.
It was new.
Oh yeah, good choice.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's very clean. It's easy to get around. The food is more centrally located, so sure you got to walk a little bit with your food to get to your gate. You know, if you're flying, on the other side there. But I can get on board with that. That was easy to get to. But for me, just for the sheer fact that I love the way how you do security is when you get to this airport is Tampa Bay, because you only do security, guys, with the people flying in your gate. It's not like MSP where you're just, it's the first thing you do. When you get to Tampa, you get on your train. Anytime I fly from Tampa to Minneapolis home, I get on the train, I take the 10-second cross from gate E. Over there, I only go through security with people who are flying in gate E. It's super simple. You're in 15 minutes. Life is good. And then there's a Potbelly's right outside security, so I can get a couple sandwiches before I go home. So I got to say the Tampa Bay Airport.
You sound so Midwestern.
That's where I live. It's what I am. I'm not so.
I am not ashamed of who I am.
The lovely city of Houston has a nice airport too.
Okay, shut the fuck up.
Get the hell out of here.
Many amenities.
Cut the shit out.
You've never been there. You can't.
I am done.
Anything.
I am done.
All right, fine. See ya. He's never been there. I liked him way more than Dallas when I went to Mexico last year, and I got in from Cancun to Dallas like 3 hours before my flight was scheduled to take off, and I was like, all right, sweet, I'm gonna go be able to get through customs, everything. I walk off the plane, and I'm not joking that I probably walked like 10 feet, and that was the line to get into customs. I stood in line for 2 hours waiting. I was like, and by the time I was hungry. I was like, I gotta go. And I was thinking like, I'm going to get something good there. And all of a sudden sit down, have a drink, whatever. No, had to go get Panda Express, eat it while they were boarding. And then when I got on the plane, there was this couple that was like fighting and arguing and just airing out all sorts of their dirty laundry. And it was like, oh boy, and this plane hasn't even taken off yet. And then when I landed in Bismarck, there were like 4 people that like sprinted. Like I don't even, the gate wasn't even connected to the plane yet. And they sprint up to the front like, what are you doing? You're not going to get out. Like, it's not going to help you get out any sooner here. And then it took, and they got their own karma because they sprinted to the front. Yeah, they got off the plane. but then they ended up having to wait an extra like 45 minutes to get their luggage. So what are you rushing for? It's not going to help you get anything anytime sooner. So, but I think that wraps it up. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, well, I'm assuming that wraps it up.
It does. So Hayden, we'll talk again on Thursday. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We'll be we're looking forward to it. This is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully this is the first of many collaborations we have with you and the Armchair Banner crew. So we'll have the segments of the show out on. Actually, there probably won't be too many segments. I think it'll just be a curveball of the week this week, and I haven't been very good about getting those out. But we'll be doing the live show on Thursday. So tune in, and we will talk to you. We'll talk to you then. Thank you guys for listening.
Absolutely.